Hey guys, I'm getting a ridiculous glare right now, so I'm going to adjust my camera real quick. There we go. That should be a little bit better. I'll position myself right over here. Yeah, that's not really working. How's this? There we go. Sorry about the technical difficulties, guys. I don't have my normal station because I'm moving. I'm moving this weekend. I'm actually moving in 2 days. 2 days from now. So my whole room is like getting packed up and all that stuff. It's a huge mess. But yeah, I have a few minutes by myself, and I'm going to be sharing with you guys my thoughts on Shazam. It's going to be freaking sick. So Shazam is a really, really fun character. If you guys aren't familiar with Shazam, he's kind of like if you take Superman and Thor and you just smash them together, and then you give him magical powers. His powers are based on magic. Now, I know what you're thinking, a lot of you guys out there, he's nothing like Thor. Thor is Norse mythology. I'm not talking about their backgrounds. I'm talking about the whole idea of like this demigod, wicked, overpowered guy that's like, he's literally strong enough to go toe-to-toe with Superman, all right? And some people argue, no, Superman can't be matched. Actually, DC Comics begs to differ, and Shazam is the guy to step up and shut down Supes whenever there's an issue. It's pretty intense. But what's cool is that he's basically the perfect comic book fantasy for little kids to read because he's a little kid. Shazam is Billy Batson. He was a kid. There was a predicament with a wizard, and I think it was like a cave, and some ancient prophecy. I'm not going to go into the details of his origin for you guys, but he gets magical powers to basically embody the living power of lightning itself. And he becomes ultra strong, wisdom of Solomon. He gets all these like Greek mythology like type of like skills and abilities, but he's still a kid. He's got like the hope and like the childish wonder of a kid and the enjoyment and the mind. It's literally just the kid, but when he says the word Shazam, boom, he superpowers up into this godlike being. And then he uses that to fight crime and sometimes get into mischief. Sometimes he gets a little silly with his abilities. But after a short while, like right after his like intro into, okay, now I'm a superhero, then he's still having fun. He's just now he understands, okay, it's like basically Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. And yeah, I can't just use this to make money. I've got to actually or make money or be a bully or whatever. He's got to be the guy, the hero. And that's what he's meant to do. And Black Adam is his like arch nemesis. Such a cool, even though he's like, you could argue he's almost the same, like power guy. Similar origin, not similar origin. Okay, that's a bad thing. But the same means at which they get their powers. He's wicked, and I mean that in every sense of the word. He is evil. He is bad, but he's also the protector of his own people. He seeks to be like this neutralizing, like tyrant king. He doesn't intend to be a dictator. He's just not going to take anyone's crap. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's set to play him, but not in this next film, not in Shazam. And he confirmed that. He talked about how he does not have any sort of cameo, but they have something very special in mind, in plans, in the works at some point for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's character, Black Adam. And that's something I'm very much looking forward to. But what's interesting here is that the director that's doing, what is his name? I forget the name. David B. Sandberg. Sorry, I had to look that up. David B. Sandberg is typically a horror genre director. Now, that being said, this is going to be DC's first like official comedy, and it's going to be really cool. Now, I know there's a lot of like single-minded fans out there, and it's not wrong to be single-minded because it just means you have a specific taste. You like a certain type of film. That's great. That's wonderful. Many of us who like those kinds of darker, more serious films, we loved The Dark Knight. We love Man of Steel. You know, there was a lot of these people go out for those types of films. You may or may not enjoy Shazam as much if your thing is a specific tone. If you like your films to be all of this exact same flavor, the exact same tone, you might not like Shazam. However, I'm really looking forward to Shazam because it's going to be very close to what is it? I think it's the Jeff Johns New 52 version of Shazam, which is a really good take on Shazam. Really, really cool. Billy Batson, but then also it gets into the Shazam family. It's pretty cool. And supposedly this is where they're going with the story. I won't get too much into that, but what I wanted to say was the images that have dropped. There was a lot of people online. I would see whenever you see a post about the Shazam costume, or you see a picture of Zachary Levi in costume on set, he's been getting a lot of hate. And I got to be totally honest. My first and still reaction to seeing the suit was, dude, that looks freaking awesome, because it looks exact. It looks perfect. It's a perfect representation of the comic book suit. And I love that. I love like the traditional classics. I love all that stuff. And some of you guys are like, I won't say you guys, some people, and I made this video because I saw these types of conversations happening online. That's why I'm saying you guys, because I feel like I'm addressing this issue, I guess. A lot of the people that were hating on like Ezra Miller's Flash costume are the same people that are hating on the Shazam costume, and it's the exact opposite reason. Like one of them, it's like it looks super weird. It doesn't look like the comic. It doesn't look exactly like the comic book, and they're like, dude, he's not even blonde, or he's not even whatever, and they kind of get upset over non-comic book accuracy. And generally, I'm that way. I'm very much that way. I like it to look exactly like the source material, as close as possible. I want everything to be the way that it's represented in the books and in the comics, because that's how we grow up appreciating those things. And so for me, it helps me to maintain my affinity for these things, my enjoyment of these things, if it's represented similarly to how I'm familiar with. And this is how I feel. Everyone has their own opinion on that. But I've seen the flip side from almost the exact same group of people who would get mad over like Ezra Miller's Flash costume, and for not being accurate. But then for Shazam's costume, like, it looks terrible. It looks cheesy. Like they can't do they couldn't even do a modern adaptation of the costume. And it's hilarious to me, because my mind is thinking the closer to the comics you can get, the better. Or the closer you can get to the source material, the better. And a lot of people felt this way when it came to X-Men. Bryan Singer's X-Men, he went with an entirely unique, his own take on the X-Men, and their costumes was all black, it was all leather, and it was kind of a weird thing. But the movies ended up being really great. Like, I really like them. You guys can disagree with me on that. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm a fool, or if it's crazy, or if you thought it was like the best choice in the world to have them go all black for the costumes or whatever. But Shazam looks great. Let me see if I can just pull this up on my phone. I don't even know if let me see. Do I have access to this right here? I pulled it up earlier. Let's see if I can get it here for you guys. This is my phone. Gosh, it's taking a second to pull up. I'm sorry about this, guys. I thought I would have had. Aha, here we go. So let me see if I can get this here. My phone's being dumb. All right, let's see. There we go. Do you guys see this? It looks pretty great. I took this right off of Screen Rant. Full disclosure, Screen Rant is where I get, it's not my only source, but I get there a lot. I look at that a lot because I like their writers. And so I try to support them by going to that site a lot. So yeah, but Zachary Levi, and I forget the name of the kid who's playing Billy, but they're right there. Actually, I don't even know if that's the kid that's playing Billy. It might be, that's the kid that's playing his like brother, his adopted brother or whatever it is. But they're there. Billy's obviously already turned into Shazam at this point, and they're just drinking cola. It's funny. I was hoping they were going to do like soda cola from the comics and from like, you know, all of DC has like 2 different sodas. It's like there's Pep something and like Pepper Cola or something like that, and then there's Soda Cola with an R, Soda Cola. And I think this one is technically Soda Cola because it's the one that it actually says cola. I forget what the other one was called, but they use it in DC Universe Online. Anyway, fun facts. 2 different Cokes in the DC Comics universe. But look at that costume. It looks freaking awesome. It's so bad for me to just hold my phone up here. Look how stupid this looks. I need to get some sort of like system where I can just like push the button and it pulls the thing up so you guys can see that. The reason I don't do that right now is because this is a live video and all my stuff's packed up. So my computer, which I would normally do my editing on, I would be able to add in these photos. Maybe I'll make a second video so I can do this more in depth with you guys. But the photos are cool. They look really, really cool. And they got the yellow lightning right here. It looks like he's got the cape and he's got the I think he's even got the hood. I can't see the hood, but in one of these photos, yeah, there it is. In the one where it shows him drinking like the soda or the Slurpee or whatever it is, you can see that there's a hood right there on his shoulder, right there. And it's pretty neat. I think that Zachary Levi is going to be awesome in this role. First of all, the guy is of grand stature, okay? I forget what his exact height is, but I saw him at a Hero Villain Fan Fest. He came out to Silicon Valley, and we all went out there, and it was such a blast to get to see everybody. But I had the peasant tickets, right? I had like the poor people, like the $40 come for one day, and that's it. And I remember he was on his way from his booth to a break, and he was like trying to slip out. He didn't have a security with him or anything, and my buddy was like, "Oh, dude, look, it's and he couldn't remember his name or whatever. And I look over and I was like, "Oh, frick, it's the guy, it's Shazam!" And so I holler out. I'm probably like 30 feet from this guy, right? I'm like 35 or whatever, and I go, "Shazam!" because I couldn't remember his name. And he looks over, like he's walking in big old strides because he's super tall, and he looks over, he's like, and he sees me, and I'm all, "Oh my gosh!" I was like, "Shazam!" And then he like looks at me like this is another one of the nerds that's about to jump me or whatever. And I try to like stride my way over, and I held my hand out to like shake his hand. I was like, "Hey, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're gonna be Shazam." And he looked at me and he kind of like smiled, and then he looked at where he was going, and he looked back at me and he's like, "All right, I can shake this guy's hand. He's harmless." And he like he takes like one big gigantic step and moves like 17 feet or something like that. And then he shakes my hand, and then he takes off. The dude is ripped. He has gotten very, very much in shape recently. He was always fit, but obviously when you play a superhero either for Marvel or for DC, you got to bulk up. And the dude was ripped. Just his handshake alone felt like I was gripping one of those like steel beams. It was just like tink, and it just like stuck. I was like, what the heck? His hands are all huge and meaty. The guy's a legend. And I'm actually really excited. First of all, he's very friendly. Whenever you have a good encounter with like one of these people, it kind of like bolsters your opinion of them. You know what I mean? But not just because I got to shake his hand because he was nice to me or whatever. He's really funny. And I know a lot of like DC fans might get on me for this, but you have to be funny to play Shazam. You have to do it. It is a comedy. It has always been a comedy. And you have to be able to embody a kid trapped in a god's body, right? So, like, you can't just be Brock Lesnar. You have to, and like, some people were saying, like, John Cena would have been a good Shazam. I actually agree with that because he is silly. He is, he's childish in his behavior when you see him, like, on in interviews and that kind of stuff. He's just a funny guy. But he's also got the body of a demigod. And Zachary Levi always he seemed a little bit wiry, a little bit thinner to most people. I'll tell you what, he's not a wire anymore. He bulked up. He did the due diligence. He put in the work. He's Shazam now. And he's always had the personality, which is why they cast him in the first place. So I have 100% confidence in him. But I also think that the costume looks freaking great. I'm not one of the people that is disappointed in his costume. It's not like the out of context set pics we saw of like Raven and Starfire and Beast Boy from the Titans show, which everyone's like having a conniption over online. Look, yes, they didn't look great there, but those are heavy CGI or heavy makeup or heavy costume characters. Those aren't characters that an actor can just waltz onto set with no prep and be ready to shoot. That's something that's going to have post-production for sure. It's going to have to. There's no way around that. You're either going to dive heavy into some serious makeup, or they're going to fix it in post. And I'm assuming they're going to do a bit of both. I'm assuming that those pictures are out of context. But I don't think the photos that were shown, even for Shazam, were even necessarily out of context. It's just set shots. And I think the costume looked great. I think he looks awesome, and I cannot wait to see this film. And more so, I know they said there's no cameo for Black Adam, but I am very hopeful that they're going to, at least shortly after the Shazam movie, they're going to tease Black Adam or some sort of involvement in the DCEU or outside the DCEU. I actually don't. The Joaquin Phoenix movie with Joker is starting to bolster my what's the word I'm looking for? It's encouraging me to have faith that films outside of the current continuity can still work and succeed. It's kind of like the Venom movie. I wasn't excited at first. I was really pissed off that it's not in the MCU, that Sony's not collaborating there. But the trailer looks great. It looks fantastic. The first looks at Venom look fantastic. And I think, yeah, Venom can work outside of the MCU, I think. We're going to find out if they're going to do that right. We don't know yet. We got to wait and see. But I feel like the same can be said for a lot of characters in the DCEU. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. That does not have to be in continuity. Do that on its own. That is a franchise that could survive on its own. It's a comedy. Theoretically, Shazam could probably maybe work. I don't want Shazam outside of the DCU. I'm glad they're doing it inside of the DCU because it's he's heavily inspired by other heroes. Billy Batson has always been heavily inspired by Superman specifically. And so he geeks out when he finally gets to meet him when he joins the Justice League. That's a funny moment. That's really iconic, and people are going to want to see. So for that, I would say keep that in continuity. But something like Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, you can do that outside of the DCEU. You can do that on its own, kind of like the Joaquin Phoenix movie, or like what's another one that could work outside of the DCEU? It's hard for me to like think this way. I mean, technically, you could get into say like you could potentially do like Deathstroke. I want to see him either in Titans or I want to see him go against Batman. But he's got plenty of backstory that could work on its own. Like with his family, with his son, with his daughter. You know, like there's a lot that could happen there. I would prefer it to be either in Titans or with Batman. That's my preference. But could work. Who knows? Execution. It's all about execution. And I think that's pretty much it. I am really, really, really pumped. I hope that at San Diego Comic-Con we get some sort of a teaser, a taste, because WB has the floor. Warner Brothers is basically taking over Hall H. Yeah, was it? Yes, it was. Yeah, Warner Brothers, and that's going to be really cool. Hopefully, we get some. I know we're going to get some Aquaman. That's like if we don't get that, they've failed entirely with their entire lives. It's got to be Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, Shazam, and hopefully some news about Flashpoint. Hopefully they start to give us ideas about the things that are to come. Maybe we'll get a new roster of the movies and films they have on slate. It would be nice to get that information. And that would literally be all that anyone's talking about. They might even steal the buzz and the hype away from the upcoming Captain Marvel or even Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. They could drown out the market. So that's all I really have to say. I'm pumped for Shazam. So you guys let me know down in the comments if you guys are also pumped. Do you guys think that the set photos and the pictures they've released look good, or do they look terrible? Please let me know in the comments. I can't wait to have a discussion with you guys. Thank you so much. You guys stay tuned for another episode right here on The Stuff of Legend.